This is our 8-2 lesson. We are comparing and ordering integers.
The world's top 4 video game players square off in a new game called Zombie Pretzel Attack 2. Drag their final scores to rank the players. Explain how you decided.
There's a couple of ways you could have answered this launch problem. Here is one solution to the launch problem, showing that the greatest score gets first place and the score that's the lowest got fourth place. If this was a game of golf, maybe we would say that this -100 would come in first place. So again, there's more than one way that you could have answered this question. We are now moving into part 1.
Remember the greater than and less than symbols. On a number line, the numbers increase from left to right. If A is greater than B, then A is to the right of B on a number line. If C is less than B, then C is to the left of B on a number line.
It's going to be very important to understand how a number line works, knowing that the further you go to the right, the larger your numbers are. The further you go to the left, the smaller your numbers get. So what we want to do with this example problem is look at each of these statements and say whether the right side is bigger or the left side's bigger. So our open mouths are going to be eating up our bigger numbers. So we need to determine, is 6 greater or is 9 greater? Well, we all know that 9 is bigger than 6, so my open mouth goes pointing to the 9. I want to look at one that has negative numbers as well, so I'm going to move to F. On a number line, so I drew one over here, if you have 0, negative numbers are going to be to the left of 0. It's important to remember that whatever is to the right on the number line is going to be bigger than what's on the left. So with these two numbers graphed, so I counted -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, which is where this point is, -8 and -9. -7 is to the right of -9, which means -7 is greater than -9. So even though the value of 7 is smaller than the value of 9, when we're dealing with negative numbers, it's kind of switched around to what we're used to thinking. So -7 is greater than -9. Always look back to this number line for reassurance. You are going to do B, C, D, and E on your own. And then when you're done, you submit your answer. I will show you what the correct answers are. All right, so if we're looking at our number line over here, -5, so 2, 3, 4, 5, -5 is right here. That's going to be greater than -8, which would be right here on my number line. So -5 is my greater number, -8 is smaller. -3 and -4. My -3 is greater than -4. I can check it on my number line over here if you wanted to. 2 and -1. We know that whole numbers are always going to be greater than my negative numbers. And -2 and 0, I would rather owe someone $0 than owe them $2. So 0 is greater than -2. Part 1 got it problem.
What symbol correctly completes the statement?
B, our less than sign. -5 is less than -3 because -3 is to the right of -5 on a number line if I drew one out. If you need to draw out a number line, feel free to do so. It really will help you. Moving on to part 2.
During January in Montreal, Canada, the temperature at 1 p.m. was -8 degrees Celsius. The temperature at 11 p.m. was -12 degrees Celsius. Write an inequality to compare the two temperatures. When was it warmer?
What I know is at 1 p.m., sorry about this handwriting, it is -8 degrees Celsius. I also know that the temperature at 11 p.m. was -12 degrees Celsius. My question, which is what I need to know, is when was it warmer? I won't take the time to write it in the box, but when was it warmer is what we need to know. And last but not least, our plan of action. What I could write in this box is draw a number line and see which one's greater, -8 degrees Celsius or -12 degrees Celsius. So if I write that out, then I can do it. Here's my number line. Number lines can have any section of the numbers in it, so if there's a 0 over here or a 0 in the middle, it doesn't really matter, just as long as the numbers you're working on it fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some little tally marks on here. And just because I'm using my Smart Notebook to write on here and it's really hard, I'm not going to include all numbers. Just know that this arrow right here tells me that 0 is going to be down here. And if I count my negative numbers to my left, we'll start here with -5. So -5, -6, -7, -8. This is a point that I need to know. -9, -10, -11, -12. That was the other point that I needed to know. So when I look at these numbers, I can tell that -8 is to the right of -12. And that is what we learned in part 1, is that numbers to the right are going to be greater than numbers to the left. So my answer of when was it warmer? Well, it's warmer with a greater number. So at 1 p.m. it was -8 degrees, which was warmer than 11 p.m. when it was -12 degrees.
The temperature at the start of a cross-country ski race was -8 degrees Celsius. The temperature at the end of the race was -2 degrees Celsius. Write an inequality comparing the temperatures. When was it colder?
The correct answer is A. -2 is greater than -8, so -2 degrees Celsius is warmer than -8 degrees Celsius. So it was colder at the start of the race. Remember, my open mouth is eating my bigger number, and when I have a number line, -2 is on the right of -8, and numbers on the right are bigger than the numbers to their left. Last part, it's part 3.
The table shows the number of yards gained or lost by a high school football team during the first play in each game. Order the results of the plays from least yards gained to most yards gained.
Remember that negative numbers are yards lost. Our positive numbers are yards gained. So you're going to order the results of the plays from least yards to the most yards that were gained. I want you to try this on your own first. If I'm solving these from least yards to most yards, I know I'm solving it from least to greatest. So I want to take these numbers, and if I have a number line, I know that positive numbers are to the right of 0, so I know these positive numbers are going to be greater than my negative numbers. So I can even start by putting these in first. Then you need to remember, if you're counting on the number line and you're at 5, then you go 4, 3 yards. I can go 2, 0, and then I know I'm starting to go into negative numbers. So the first negative number I come to from 0 is -1. Next would be -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, all the way to -10. If I check my answer, that is correct. And here's our last got it problem.
Scores in a golf tournament are reported by the number of strokes each player is above or below par. The scores for 5 players are -5, 5, -10, 3, and -8. Order the scores from the lowest score to the highest score.
It will be one of these answers. So you're doing it from lowest score to highest score. Here is the correct answer. We have -10. Then we're moving up on our number line. We would get to -8, -5. We get closer to 0. We pass 0, then we go to 3 and 5. That was all for lesson 8-2. We'll work on this homework in class, so make sure that you're prepared, ready to ask any questions that you might have, and we will get through it together.